Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NRRL. This is the Wednesday Super League. This is the big one, and for a big league, we have got a big race for you. This is the British Grand Prix. Always an iconic circuit, a staple in the Formula One calendar, and it will look to rewrite the history of the NRRL Championship here tonight. My name is JP. I am your commentator. It is a pleasure to be here as always. Alongside me in the commentary booth tonight is my brother Lewis. Good evening to you, Lewis. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We've already had a very, very good race around here just 2 days ago, and I would expect that in the very top league that we offer, that it will be just as good, if not better. So we say it every week, but if there's one race you really want to watch of all the content we offer, it has to be this one. But ideally, watch them all.
And I mean, all of them is what you want to watch. And this week, starting this week, 7 days of racing action coming to you on this Twitch channel. If you are new, first of all, welcome. Pleasure to have you here. Secondly, make sure you drop a follow down below. 7 days of racing action to you. This is the only place you can watch NRRL live. And what a race we have in store for you tonight. The top tier of NRRL around arguably the greatest Formula One track of all time. We are here today at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, and what a session this could produce.
Absolutely. We've seen a number of our top drivers race here and put on some incredible displays just a few days ago. And as I say, I would expect more of the same. It was a very, very interesting race, wasn't it? As we had out of our 4 sessions, one driver top 3 of them, but then when it came to the most important one, fell down to 7th. So you just can't predict what happens in this league, and around this circuit, things just become so much more unpredictable. Exactly what you want to see, and I get the feeling we are in for not only a fantastic qualifying session, but an awesome 26 laps as well.
Exactly that. Silverstone is it's your ideal racing circuit. You've got slow speed corners, fast speed corners, long straights, DRS, challenging corners. This is a circuit that really pushes the limit of a Formula One car, and with these top drivers seated in them, 19 drivers here tonight, all vying for one common goal, and that is a race victory. It's going to be such an unpredictable race. It's, you know, you look at the people who are on the grid. You've got your Dan Lovitz, your CRBTs. I have no grip. People like BP Ace who are looking to make a name for themselves. Paul Codd also can have a turn of speed. Quincy also very, very quick. Meldrum has been rapid before in qualifying. It is very easy to see that this is going to be a very close qualifying session as the times now start to register themselves, and Wiz Joki's first man to set a lap, 27.5 for the Haas driver, and we will now start to see the times tumble as Mr. Jabe now replaces that with a 26.9. But I'll pass it over to you, Lewis, with a quick question for you. Obviously, we've commentated the first round of the Super League. After that, you know, we've got a bit of a gap to try and figure out who we think is going to be towards the top and who's going to be sort of in the mid-pack, who needs to improve a bit at certain things. And we personally know some of the drivers as well. So watching this qualifying session, who are you going to be keeping an eye on?
It's going to have to be the man here, I have no grip, who's just gone on to the top of the timing sheets by 2 tenths after a phenomenal put the other day to win his first race. He seems to be just still showing that incredible turn of speed. I believe there was a glitch on my screen as he has not even no front wing, no nose whatsoever. So either he's just set an incredible lap or that's a glitch on my end. But speaking of incredible laps, a driver we both know very well, BP Ace, he goes to the top with a blinding time, 8 tenths clear. He also has no nose for me, so I believe there is a slight issue here. But that's a fantastic lap.
Exactly that, and like you mentioned, we know BP Ace from previous racing experience, and a lightning quick driver when things go correct for him. I have no grip, obviously has won around here this week, so he will have massive confidence coming into another British Grand Prix, Aspec has now displaced BP Ace in the Red Bull, going about a tenth quicker than the Ferrari driver. So that's a great lap from the Red Bull, very, very close at the front of the grid. Bo is also currently on a lap. We've got 5 drivers who haven't set laps, 4 of those in the pits. Bo will be the next to try and put his name towards the front in the chrome liveried McLaren. Now, I must say, from those first runs, I think there's a few things to point out there. You know, I mentioned straight at the start, Sab Gaming, Dan Lovett, BT, ones to keep your eye on. Dan Lovett only 8th, Sab only 9th, BT only 11th, and they were the big 3 on Sundays. This Sunday just gone, we had the championship fight. Those were the 3 that were in it. 8th, 9th, and 11th.
Yes, very not a loss for words there, really. It's not normal we see that. Normally you have one of them in the top 5, normally 2 or even all 3, but clearly not working like they would want it to. And not just how far down they are, look at how far off they are as well. No one out of the 3 of them even into the 26s, and the pole times are 25. So they have got a lot of pace to cover up here, or they are going to have to pull out an incredible strategy if they want to be up there towards the top. And you would imagine they would be, as it didn't really go well for any of them on Sunday. Even though we crowned a world champion, they all had a lot of issues that night in Miami. So I'm sure they have a point to prove, but so far that point remains unproven.
Exactly that. Bo set his lap. Very good lap from the McLaren driver. Goes P3 with a 26.2. And again, just brings that gap down to the point where we're talking about so many drivers so close to each other. It's very difficult to see, you know, who's going to be up towards the front, as I have no grip. I believe that was a 3/10 improvement for him. He's P4, only a 10th off of Bo. So it's so close between all of these drivers. And really, we're only going to be able to call who is on pole position once we've seen everyone's final lap. Because it is just so difficult, especially with the fact that it is a brand new tier. We know that this is the top tier of NRRL, but with it being a new tier, it's very difficult to put people in positions. You know, we had round 1. Could there have been mistakes for people? Maybe a wrong direction with the setup. And then this week, they look to correct that wrong. So it is all up in the air, and that is the excitement of it. We come to a brilliant racing track, not really knowing where many of the drivers are going to be. It's very difficult to call, but for us and the viewers at home, it is incredibly interesting to try and figure out where everyone is, how everyone's performing, how the cars are performing, how the drivers are feeling, how they're working. And it all just culminates for an incredible qualifying session and 26 laps.
Absolutely. It's very difficult to say where everyone is going to be, because even though we know how all 20 of these drivers are very quick drivers, they obviously wouldn't be in this tier if they weren't. How do they match up against each other? It's a bit like boxing, where styles make fights. Styles here make positions. Certain drivers will have better luck against other drivers, even if they're not as quick. It's all about things like strategy. How do you approach an overtake? How do you approach a pit stop? Fine margins that are the difference between the full 25 points and losing a couple if you finish anywhere below 10th.
Exactly that. It's so close between all of these drivers, and obviously around Silverstone, qualifying isn't incredibly important, but with it only being a 50% race, there is that sense of urgency to get on with things and, you know, get yourself towards the front in qualifying. You've got a better chance of winning the race. Aspec and BP Ace are currently on laps. BP Ace only improving by 8 milliseconds in the first sector, and that shows that these drivers, especially towards the sharp end, are on it from the word go, and they are giving it absolutely everything. As through Maggots and Beckett's comes BP Ace now towards the end of the final sector. Is there an improvement for him? It's a 45 millisecond improvement. He will need a lightning quick final sector if he is to take provisional pole back, because Aspec is already 44 milliseconds up on his lap. So this will need to be a catastrophic improvement from BP Ace if he wants to try and displace the Red Bull man for good. He comes around the final corner now, does the Ferrari driver, goes on to provisional pole, lightning quick final sector, exactly what he needed. He is a 10th.5 clear as now Aspect comes to the end of the second sector. He's 81 milliseconds up, so a lot to play for here between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Bo is also in that fight, as is I Have No Grip. Noah is also up there, and Aspect comes into the pits.
Clearly something he didn't like. That is quite surprising, given that would have been good enough to get that pole position back. Maybe he didn't think he would have enough time to finish the lap, get back into the pits, and then start again. But looking at the times, I believe he would have. So that's very, very odd. He must have had damage, maybe. I'm not too sure. That is why he did that. I don't know.
No, that is an interesting call, but nonetheless,
Quincy is up here.
He must have something interesting as Quincy is up, goes up to P4 with a 26.3, and the Williams driver now inserts himself into the pole position fight. Noah, he's on his in-lap, so no improvement there. What have you seen, Lewis?
Rendog was on his lap. It looked like he was on a fairly decent lap and then got slowed down. That is not what he would have wanted there down in P8. We've got Jabe, he went 2/10 quicker up to P9. Sab is up here, but only by 4/100ths of a second. Car not really biting the way he wants through Stowe. I believe he's coming into the pits as well. He is. BT 2/10 up in... Oh no, it's second down in the first sector. 2/10 up on his last lap. Invalidated here. And we have a gifted
sub. I would just like
sub.
to say thank you. I was just going to mention that, Lewis. Meldrum, thank you very much for the gifted subscription. Racing here tonight. He is out of the session currently, but the gifted sub coming in from Meldrum. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much for your support. It is incredibly valued. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
In the nicest way possible, Meldrum. I don't think I've ever seen a qualifying session where a driver has managed to gift more subs than laps completed. But we do appreciate it very much.
I think that's quite a good strategy, to be fair. Retire early in the pits, gift a sub to the channel. I think that's a brilliant strategy.
What if we have that as a new rule only on Meldrum's part? If he, every corner cutting infringement is one gifted sub to the channel.
I think we'd be rich men by the end of the night. No, seriously though. Thank you very, very much, Meldrum. It is much, much appreciated. Big Bruiser is currently on his lap and is coming around the final corner now. He will set his first flying lap and he stays 18th with a 29.0. I lost the car and I'll be skint. Good stuff, Meldrum. Good stuff, my man. Well, it all sort of quiets down now as everyone comes into the pits. We've got a few people on outlaps, those of I Have No Grip, Noah, Dan Lovett, and Kevin Baker. Dan Lovett will be the first to set his lap. One of the championship contenders on Sundays. He will be looking to definitely improve from P11, a 27 flat so far for the McLaren man. He now goes on to his tour of the Silverstone circuit to try and improve through Abbey. He comes now. Pick your braking point. Swing it in. Very easy to understeer through here. Get it all the way over to the right side and bring it back to the left. Easy on the traction as you now come down the Wellington Straight and you hurtle towards Brooklands with the DRS enabled. What will the first sector look like? It is a 45 millisecond improvement. He swings it into Brooklands, swings it back over to the left. Through Luffield we go now with the McLaren. And now you put the throttle down and you do not lift until you reach Beckett's. So through and towards Copse we go now then. The McLaren is trying to improve and easily flat in these modern day Formula 1 cars through Copse Corner. And now to Maggots and Beckett's you go. Little bit of a lift there. Downshift a few times. Get it turned in. meet the curb, and you are on your way down the hangar straight. It's an 11 millisecond improvement. This is not what Dan Lovett will be wanting. He will need a lightning quick final sector if he is to improve on his lap here. And towards the Vale chicane, is he able to meet the apexes? That he is. Is it going to be quick enough for an improvement? Dan Lovett comes to the line now then. It isn't an improvement at all for the McLaren. I don't believe he's got enough fuel either. So that will be Dan's session over. I have no grip. Goes into P3 with a 26.2. That's a great lap. Noah is just coming through Cops now. Again, easily flat in these modern Formula 1 cars. The ground effect era really showing us how to take corners at speed. Through Maggots and Beckett's we go. And this is lightning quick from Noah. Through Maggots and Beckett's. The two leaders are now on their outlap, as is Bo and Quincy. And the Aston Martin driver now comes through Sector 3. Swings it in just a little bit over the sausage curb. And towards the Vale chicane. Can he improve? He was just about up. Gets it in nicely. Towards the final corner he comes. Can Noah trouble the top places? He goes P5. Dislodges Quincy and is 7 milliseconds off of Bo. We've got I Have No Grip who's off the track, I believe, letting cars through. Next car to set a lap will be Aspec. So we know he's got the pace for provisional pole position. Lewis, take us through this lap.
Okay, so very, very high speed corner through here. You want to downshift, not touch the braking pedal until you get down here. Nice and gentle. Clip the curb as he does. Run it out wide a little bit. Touch the curb here. Don't run onto the runoff. He's taken it quite well. DRS wide open down the straight. We see the split time 2/10 up, and that is a lovely first sector car. A little bit all over the place round through there. He manages to get it nice and tidy as now you come up towards Cops, a critical corner for the Grand Prix. Make sure you don't invalidate. He does it nice and well through Maggots and Beckett's, and very easy to invalidate here. Very easy for the car to misplace itself. He gets through nice and tidy again. We'll see the split there, and that is lovely. And this could be a phenomenal lap for Aspec in the Red Bull. Makes it through Stowe. Again, nice and tidy. Gets very close to invalidating. Does it just as you'd like. Clips the curb maybe a little bit too much. That shouldn't cost him too much time. And then through the final corner. Is it an improvement? It is by 0.3. 125.5. BP Ace is 85 milliseconds up on his first sector. Where is his second sector going to put him? He makes it through Maggots and Beckett's. Again, runs somewhat wide. Is up, but not up enough, you would expect. This final sector is going to have to be a strong one.
Lewis, I'm going to need to interrupt you. Quincy was on his lap. He spun, so he won't improve. Next man to set a lap will be Bo. I believe he was up on his lap. He's currently P4. He goes to P3. BP Ace can't improve. So that is your session then. Aspec takes pole position with a brilliant lap from the gods. BP Ace has to settle for second place. Bo is in third. I Have No Grip with a wonderful lap into fourth. Noah fifth. Quincy in sixth after that mistake on his final lap. Race Chase in seventh. Mikey Boy eighth. Rendog ninth. And Mr. Jabe rounding off your top 10.
Very, very strong lap there from Aspec. Ace, I was on board with his lap from Cops onwards, and he clipped the curb towards the last chicane and then just backed out. It wasn't going to be enough for pole. He probably would have improved, but like we're saying, not enough. But yeah, as you say, great lap from I Have No Grip there. Could we see a Mikey Boy like Rich Vein of form come on, as we saw with some strong performances a few weeks ago and then beginning to win races? You would very much expect that sometimes just that one result that Yes, you might get a little bit of luck, but he very much had to earn that on Monday. Could that be the spur for almost a whole new driver we see and have himself up there? You would very much hope so. But 1/10, a fairly normal gap we tend to see in NRRL. So he will be very happy with that one. But Ace will be breathing down his neck at the start, I'm sure.
Exactly that, and P2 is not a bad place to start at this Silverstone circuit at all. 26 laps of the Grand Prix do await us, but we will now look to the Drivers' Championship, where Rendog currently leads. It is Race Chase who is in second place from Wiz Jokies, Noah, BT, Arrays, I Have No Grip, Big Bruiser, Mikey, and Meldrum. Aspec currently sat in 11th place takes pole position. BP Ace in 14th is second. So these drivers, as we saw today, the calendar got extended from 6 races to 8 races. These drivers want to take those opportunities to try and gain more places, as we now look to the Constructors' Championship, where we see Aston Martin leading from Haas, Ferrari, Sauber, Red Bull, McLaren, Alpine, Williams, Mercedes, and VCarb. It is all very, very close. Obviously, we've only had one round, so there's not going to be massive gaps going forward. But as we look back to the Drivers' Championship, Rendog currently leading. He will just need to try and have a calm race, keep himself in it. Consistency in these league races is key, especially when it is such a short calendar. Only 8 Grand Prix this season. It is very easy to have one mistake, one DNF, one bit of contact with another driver, and that's your season over. And for people like Aspec, like BP Ace, who didn't have the best opening round, they will really need to capitalise on their qualifying positions today to try and improve.
Very much so. So if you're a driver that is around that kind of 7th, 8th, ninth, or as the drivers that we said were the big important figures on Sunday that haven't had the best of sessions so far, given the chaos we saw on Monday, this is nowhere near over. You can very much get yourself back into it, but you're going to have to get through it clean. And I don't think there is really a worse place you can start than that kind of 7th to 15th bracket around here, because that turn 1, no braking, very much can be a place where you see lots and lots of chaos and collisions. So you've just got to focus on getting through that nice and neat and tidy, and then try and make some moves down the straight, turn 3 maybe. But you've got to be focused around here, because if you're not, then you will get punished.
Exactly. It is such a great circuit, Silverstone, for overtaking, for on-track battles, but it is also very difficult to try and gain time. With it being such a technical circuit, again, very easy to make mistakes. So if a driver ahead of you or behind you makes a mistake, it's easy to grow that gap or shrink it, but it's very easy to make mistakes yourself. Such a technical circuit, very hard to get the setup correct as there's so many different corner profiles. You've got things like Cops and Maggots and Beckett's where you're easily flat. Then you've got the Vale chicane, which is very tight and you've got to be technical with it. And then you've got places like Brooklands, a very mid-speed corner where you're trying to keep the grip and keep the momentum in the car. It's so difficult for engineers to try and get a good enough setup for all of the corner profiles, and that can pay dividends in not only qualifying but especially in the race, where you've got 26 laps to try and stay at your very best. Not only is it physically and mentally wearing, it is also spiritually in a way, because you need to be able to trust your entire team, your pit crew, the people that have made the setup for you. You need to have that trust in them that this car is going to be able to provide you with what you need. If you are looking at someone like an Aspect or a BP Ace, we know they're absolutely rapid. Are their team, and even the strategy team that's going to be picking, do they start on the hards, the mediums, do they one stop, do they two stop, whatever, are they able to rely on them?
It's a very difficult strategy around here because it's such a tire heavy circuit, a lot of high speed abrasive corners. That strategy is very difficult even in a race like this, because you don't know whether to go for that one stop or the two stop.
Here we go then, towards the grid, and 5 red lights ahead of the drivers, and they weren't held for long, but it's lights out, and away we go, and Aspect immediately comes over to cover BP Ace into turn 1. Bo got a good getaway, he's in 3rd, I have no grip in 4th, and BP Ace immediately coming at Aspect down into Abbey as we now go round the left-hander and towards the Wellington Straight. Who's got the better traction in their car? The front two giving it everything on the opening lap as towards Brooklands we go. Defensive goes Aspect. BP Ace chooses the outside. Maybe looking for a little bit of a cutback. Nothing doing for the Ferrari driver. Mikey Boy with a great start already up to 3rd. But the two leaders giving it everything.
Absolutely. You can see how much they both want this victory. It means a lot if you can win in the Super League. And these two will be going hell for leather, hopefully for the next 25 laps.
Mikey Boy again with a great start, up 5 places. Bo has had a terrible start from P3, down 6 positions into 9th. Another big loser was Sab Gaming. He's fallen all the way to the back of the grid. Meldrum is also down there with him. But Mikey Boy, brilliant start from the Haas driver, up 5 positions. He's our big gainer on lap 1. And as we end lap 1 now, Aspect, not with an ideal start, but does have the race lead.
Absolutely. You wouldn't have been in a fair world if you think that you'd have gotten away nice and easy. So it is going to be a struggle in these early stages when DRS is open. But he'll be pretty satisfied with that, I think, to still be in the lead. But how much longer can he hold that lead for? As DRS will be enabled. He makes his move to try and cut off the slipstream. BP Ace gaining, but not enough.
2 drivers into the pits at the end of the opening lap. That was Wiz Jokies and I Have No Grip. Both of them came in for front wing changes. I Have No Grip did not change his front wing. So a blunder from the Alpine team there. They haven't fixed that front wing. Is that going to be his race over? We've got a yellow flag, and that's Paul Codd, who's round going into Luffield. Potentially contact with another driver there, and he rejoins the track. I don't believe there's any damage to that Williams car. Oh, there is, sorry. There's big damage to that Williams, and he will have to come in. But here we see BP Ace is really coming at Aspect here. And on lap 2 of 26, to the inside he goes. Aspect sweeps around the outside. Much better traction for the Red Bull. And they are already pulling well clear of the rest of the field. These two leaders not waiting around for anybody. They are going for it.
And Mikey Boy will be looking at this, licking his lips. If these two can just continue fighting, he will be in the fight soon enough. Not currently in the DRS of BP Ace. But if these two begin slowing each other down, the 2-horse race might become a 3-horse race. Although he does have Noah on the back of him. So this should be very interesting. The 1st and 3rd place cars both being put under pressure. But how much pressure can they resist?
It is oh so close, and Mikey, he will be on the adrenaline rush of his life after that opening lap. He just needs to settle down now, get into the rhythm, see if he can try and gain some time on the leaders, as BP Ace is getting very close to the back of Aspect. Aspect with a little bit more battery than the Ferrari driver as they now go towards Maggots and Beckett's. Great onboard camera here as we go through, showing you the G-force and how quick this section of the track is. Aspect a little bit wider than the Ferrari of BP Ace was as we now go down the hangar straight once more. BP is gaining. Is he gaining enough? He isn't. He stays behind for now, and BP Ace is really putting him under pressure. Aspect coping wonderfully.
Absolutely. Very much a mature start to the race. But how much longer is he going to be able to keep BP Ace behind? We know how much he enjoys a victory, and especially around a historical circuit like this, it means that little bit more. And you get the feeling that they're going to be going for it once again quite soon.
Exactly that. Red Bull, obviously an Austrian-owned team, but based in Milton Keynes, technically would be a home team win. I'm gonna count it. You've then got Ferrari, who are looking to break British hearts today. Haas, the American outfit, currently running in third. Aston Martin is really the best placed proper British entity. They're in P4 with Noah, and he is all over the back of Mikey Boy. Williams is currently sat in 5th with Quincy. Race Chase in 6th. We've got Bo in 7th, who is beginning to recover after his poor start. Sab is also beginning to recover as drivers come into the pits for front wing changes and whatnot. Dan Lovett is still in the same place as he started. BT up 4 positions. Our current championship leader, Rendog, he is currently in 9th. BP is beginning to gain on Aspec again, but not enough battery. And if BP is to make the move on Aspec, he really needs to start focusing on the battery. You went for it on lap 1 and lap 2. There wasn't that close enough gap. Now you've got to get into the rhythm, start regaining that battery, get the advantage, then make your move.
Absolutely. And it might be a fairly smart idea, as they seem to be pulling away from Mikey, to just sit in that DRS for a little bit, let that battery recharge, think about when you're going to make potentially your only stop. But there is a lot to think about. As you can see in the skies, it is a little bit grey.
And that is quite interesting. There could be some rain. I mean, Britain always known for its rainy conditions. Could we see some weather spice up this Grand Prix? Now, the only thing that tells me that isn't the case is in a race like this, it would normally rain towards the end of the race. So, I don't know about the quicker drivers, but me personally, I would have started on the hards to then get to that point of rain, to then stick the intermediates on. The fact that the entire top 9, and really the top 15 if you take BT out of it, are all on medium tyres, that tells me there isn't any weather that's going to play in the minds of the drivers today, and this is going to be a straight fight to the end, normal dry tyres, as BP is now saving his battery. He's not going for it on this lap. He's got double Aspec's battery. Maybe listening to the words of wisdom from the commentary box here, and he is starting to take care of that battery as Noah has finally dispatched the Haas of Mikey Boy. Mikey is still going to try and come back at him, but Noah has got that move done and moves himself up into the podium places. We've got a great battle going on here between Quincy, Race Chase and Bo. Mr. Jabe just off the back of this, but 3 cars all vying for the same piece of tarmac, getting very close between those 3.
Absolutely. And you can see, as I said, those clouds in the sky just getting a little bit darker. Although at certain parts of the track, they do seem a little bit lighter. So I think if we're going to see some rain, we are a little bit out just right now. But we very much could see some rain towards the end of this race. And that is going to play havoc on a lot of potential strategies here, as it's very difficult to decide when to make your pit stop anyway. But now that you know there is potential rain, it just makes it a little bit harder.
Exactly that. It does play on the drivers' minds. Myself personally, I absolutely love the rain. If I could league race in a league where it was only ever wet weather, you would count me in. But for a lot of drivers, especially your sort of less experienced drivers who haven't been in NRRL for as long and aren't as experienced with racing with this caliber of drivers, and especially it being in the Super League as well, it is incredibly difficult and plays a mental toll on you. Even just a normal race, let alone a Super League race, and then you add wet weather to it. It is very difficult, as we see Mikey now dive into the pits. Very early pit stop from the Haas driver. Only lap 7, and Mikey is into the pits. So I don't see any damage on that Haas car, so I don't see why that would be a scheduled pit stop. But it'll be interesting to see how he fares in the remaining 19 laps. BP is still stuck behind Aspec. They are giving us a good battle, but nothing doing for the Ferrari driver at the moment. Noah now in a bit of a league of his own, as he's got a 5-second gap to the leaders, 3-second gap behind Race Chase, and Bo still stuck behind Quincy for the time being. We've got Rendog who's trying to gain on Mr. Jabe. BT is really holding the drivers behind him up on the hard tyres. You've got Kevin Baker who's looking for that position, as is Dan Lovett. Sab's also in that fight. Mikey emerges in 13th place on the hard compound tyres, and it'll be interesting to watch his progress. I Have No Grip had to pit twice, obviously after not repairing that front wing in his pit stop. So it's all just starting to calm down a bit now in this race. But BP Ace, again with some battery, he isn't going to look to overtake on this occasion. And they both switch the batteries back into none again and just harvest up. And that is the thing, Lewis. Races aren't won on lap 7. They are won on lap 26.
Absolutely. We say it every week. Very easy to lose a race at this early stage, but impossible to win it. Noah comes into the pits too, so this will be interesting to see where will Mikey emerge. And I believe that you are right. I do think Ace is just laying back a little bit, staying relatively close, but not in a position to overtake, letting that battery charge. But the problem is Aspect has got more than him.
Exactly that. He is finding it difficult. I'm currently on board with Mikey to see where he emerges out of the pits as we see Sab also come into the pit lane. So maybe the tyre deg is worse than we thought. Here comes Mikey though, and he has easily undercut Noah. It is close between them as they come out the pits, but Mikey has regained the position due to that undercut. The gap only 0.6, but Mikey does get the track position back.
Very, very good news for him. He will be liking that a lot, but the battle will continue, I would expect.
It will be close between the pair of them, currently down in 11th and 12th place. And I do just wonder about the tyre deg. You know, lap 7 it was that Mikey came in. We've got a yellow flag, and that is Quincy, who's off and into the wall at the exit of Maggots and Beckett's. We saw him in the fight with people like Race Chase, Bo, Rendog, Mr. Jabe, but he has now fallen down to P10. He was in the wall there. I can't see if there's damage on that Williams car. It would seem like it by the way he's driving, as there's a lot of understeer in that Williams, and he does dive into the pits. So Quincy, who was having a great race, unfortunately for the Williams driver, into the pits for a new front wing.
Can't say I saw what happened there, but it would be wrong to count him out at this stage. We've seen some of the things he can do, but what happened? I can't say I saw it, so I'm not too sure.
Bo is coming at Race Chase towards Brooklands. Not enough of a gap opening up for the McLaren driver, and he will have to stay behind the Sauber for now. Rendog currently running in 5th. Great race from our current championship leader, doing very well to carve his way through the field. Kevin Baker picks up a 3-second time penalty. Rendog has got Mr. Jabe right behind him. BT has got that damaged front wing. He's still got Kevin Baker and Dan Lovett behind him for company. BP Ace maybe just starting to drop off a little bit off the back of Aspect. The dirty air won't be helping his tyres at all, especially on such a technical circuit. And Aspect baits him into the pits.
I don't think that is what he was Ace was planning to do, but I don't think it's a terrible idea to go now. The question is, how far out are they from rain if it's coming? It is hard tyres, so a one stop you would expect. But what happens now? When does Aspect decide to pit himself?
I must say, it was a relatively decent time for BP to pit. He will come out behind that battle of Dan Lovett and Kevin Baker. He will keep the positions to Mikey and Noah, and he's got a little bit of a gap of clean air now to try and make his way through. He will have to overtake Dan Lovett, Kevin Baker and BT, but those moves shouldn't be too hard for him. He's just got to hope he doesn't catch too quickly, because Aspect, 14 seconds he's got behind him. In front of him, there's absolutely nothing. So the clean air will be doing the Red Bull driver well. Now the question is, will he respond to that undercut and come in this lap, as we see Rendog move up into the podium places ahead of Race Chase? And I believe Race Chase may have disconnected because he's ghosted. and has dropped a few positions. He has. So heartbreak for the Sauber driver as his teammate goes through. Aspect does respond to that undercut. He's into the pits.
So here we go then. Ace currently in 9th in a little bit of traffic. I'm on board with him now. DRS wide open. He gets past Dan Lovett. This is critical for his race. Where is Aspect then? He is coming down the pits now. I'm now on board with him. If you can keep us up to date of where Ace is.
He's just coming around the final corner now, Lewis. He got held up by Kevin Baker in the
Aspect
final corner. Aspect crosses the line now. BP Ace comes out. This is so close between the leaders as we've also got BT who's involved in that. BP Ace with a wonderful move around the outside. Aspect now looks to the inside of the V-carb, but crucially, BP Ace with the undercut takes the lead.
But it's not over yet. Here he comes. Can Aspect get the lead back? He's going to the outside. Very quickly becomes the inside here. He's going for it. There is slight contact. Clean racing. They're going to be wheel to wheel as they head towards Cops. A better exit towards for Aspect, and he gets in front.
Incredible racing between these two leaders, and Aspect giving it absolutely everything. BP Ace, all he has wanted is to lead this race for 11 laps, and he led it for about half of a lap as he now tries to come back at Aspect towards, I believe it's Valley, as he now looks to the inside of the Red Bull. It's a late move from the Ferrari. It's not going to be enough. An Aspect on the lap, fresher tyres now, and surely BP Ace is screaming inside that cockpit. He got what he wanted, he got what he needed, but only for half a lap, and now Aspect is in prime position to try and lead this one to the flag.
Absolutely. Still 14 laps to go, not even halfway through. And this could rumble on until the very dying seconds. You would hope so. As we have a few other people in the pits. Alfie, a slight mistake there, runs wide, drops down to 13th. Kevin Baker just coming out now. He will come out in 11th. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2. Everything is cleared. Here's Mr. Jade now, trying to make his way past Rendor. Can't get close enough. And his Aston Martin teammate Noah looking for 3rd. But again, can't get anywhere near.
There was a great little scrap between Mikey, Noah and BT. Mikey with a lovely move round the outside of Brooklands, then turned to the inside of Luffield. On the exit of Luffield, Noah, ever the opportunist, snuck his way through and now is looking to put pressure on Mikey. Just doesn't look like he's got enough battery though. Mikey will hold that position, although Noah going very, very late on the brakes, almost goes straight into the back of the Haas driver. There isn't a gap into the Vale chicane. They will stay in 3rd and 4th for now. Aspect sets the fastest lap of the race and crucially is actually dropping BP Ace nearly out of DRS. BP having to use some ERS to try and get back into that gap. And I must say, Lewis, in the last lap or so, those clouds are getting much, much darker.
Absolutely. It plays a mental toll on you when you are already thinking about so many other things. ERS is the fuel good, chasing down a driver, your strategy, to now know that there could be another twist in the tail and you have to time it perfectly because one lap is the difference when you pit for inters, is the difference between victory and P9.
Exactly that. It is so difficult to try and time a pit stop right. When do you come into the pits? When do you make that change to inters? Do you make that change to inters? Some of the best Formula 1 races I've ever watched and ever even taken part in F1 League racing have been those that switch to the inters, and it just turns into absolute chaos. And this race has already been incredible. Could we see more excitement if weather starts to play a part. Noah still not able to try and get on the back of Mikey, but Mikey, with a 3-second penalty, will not take that position as things stand. Bo is 8 seconds behind that. We saw BT come into the pits. He's on the mediums and is up to 12th down the inside of Alfie into Cops. Lovely opportunist move there. He is up into 12th position, but Alfie will look to fight that one back. Dan Lovett on the hard compound tyres. He came into the pits 2 laps ago. Currently sat in 11th. We've got Quincy after that spin into the wall. He's currently P9 battling with Kevin Baker, and Kevin is going to look towards the inside of the Vale chicane. Very, very deep from the Alpine. Makes the move stick though. Lovely stuff from Kevin Baker. He's up into 9th.
Fantastic from Kevin. A 3-second penalty there, but he's off to try and chase after Sab, who also has one. A little bit of a reduction in the amount of penalties we've seen today, hasn't it? That's always good. I would have expected a few more, but that is good for us. A lap car gets out of the way for the top 2. They are just having a little bit of time apart for now. Noah and Mikey still relatively close to each other. But as we say quite often, this is the part of the race where maybe things at the front just start to die down a little bit. But now there is still some battles going around. Kevin Baker and Quincy still going at it. Quincy managed to get the place back. But everything seems to just be quieting down right now, doesn't it?
Exactly that. I was going to mention before you said that, Lewis, the gap between the 2 leaders, now 1.7 seconds. So Aspect has clearly found a turn of speed on these hard compound tyres. The Red Bull working very well with the white-walled hards, and he is absolutely flying. 1.7 seconds clear now of his adversary as Kevin Baker once again looking to try and come at Quincy. Nothing doing for the Alpine driver. We know he likes to overtake into Vale though. Not close enough on this occasion, and he will have to stick behind for the time being. Dan Lovett is now cruising up to the back of this battle, and I must say the track is beginning to lighten up again. I don't see rain coming.
Yeah, it may be just like a little bit of classic British weather where it changes up a little bit. Can never say never in this sport, and I think the drivers will be relieved to know that, as even if you are very good in the wet, it's very difficult to time things right. So what happens now then? BPS just dropping back a little bit. Maybe not working as well as he thought it might. But what happens now? Noah's still on the back of Mikey. Will have DRS here. Looks like he's going to try and make a move. Can he make one? He isn't gaining as much as he would like. A little bit too far back to make a move. But everyone's still somewhat close to each other. Sorry?
We've got a great battle going on here between Dan Lovett, Quincy
Safety car.
and Baker, but a safety car as Paul Codd is out, and I believe that's through Luffield. So a very odd place for a crash there. I believe he was out on his own, was Paul Codd, but the safety car is deployed, and that will be music to BP's ears as he will get dragged back in towards Aspect. Mikey will be able to try and gain back on the leaders. Noah is currently sat in 4th. Bo comes into the pits for soft compound tyres. And I wouldn't have imagined that they would last 10 laps. So that's an interesting choice from the McLaren garage as we see mediums go on to Mr. Jabe. Mediums go on to Rendog. Mediums for Sab Gaming. Kevin Baker also in the pits. Again, mediums for him. Quincy into the pit lane as well. Again, mediums. So the softs, a very interesting choice.
I think he is banking on the fact that this safety car will be out for a little while. So it won't really be 10, 11 laps. More so like 7 or 8 you'd expect. But I think I'm right in agreement with you there of tyres get burned out very quickly here. So I don't think I'd have taken that risk.
No, that is quite the risk, I must say. But a lot of drivers will benefit from the safety car period as Aspect and BP come into the pit lane, you would assume, for medium compound tyres. Now the question is, where will they emerge? Mikey comes into the pits, as does Noah. Race Chase gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Bo is way too far behind to try and capitalise on that, as Noah picks up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Mediums for the leader, mediums for the second place Ferrari, and these tyres will see them through to the end.
Very much so. They will be. If you're BPA, so I think you're counting your lucky stars here, as Aspect was just starting to pull away. That this is quite a unique situation with a few laps to go. If you're in Aspect's mind, what are you thinking at this current point?
Well, I think I've proven to myself that I've got the pace, pulled a gap relatively quickly on BPA's, just sort of clicked his fingers and there was a 3-second gap between them. So very close between them it was for nearly the opening 13, 14 laps. But then as soon as Aspect, it's almost like, oh, I just want to. So I'm going to pull away. BP Ace actually in chat saying that he is running lower wings, so he can't get close. The only chance he has is the first 2 laps. So could we see some fiery action in the opening 2 laps when this safety car peels into the pit lane, as Zen, or BP Ace, knows he has to go for it if he wants the opportunity to take home the British Grand Prix?
Absolutely. It's going to be a very critical restart, because given the pace he was at and a retiree there, that might keep the safety car out potentially a lap longer or so. I would expect that this would be out until about lap 18, lap 19, given how spread out the field is. So as you say, that would give him about 6 or 7 laps. He's got the time. Has he got the pace? We will wait and see for that.
Exactly that. Again, BPA's in the chat saying that he's running lower wings, so he's got to try and go for it in the early stages. And that could leave us with a very exciting safety car restart. Mikey is behind them on hard compound tyres, so that's quite interesting. The track has really brightened up. Those clouds almost disappearing as quickly as Aspect did from BP Ace. Very, very quick there. We've got Noah, who's in 4th on the mediums. Bo will be one to watch for the opening few laps on the soft compound tyres. Again, an interesting strategy choice, though. I do wonder if they will make their way to the end of the Grand Prix. He will most certainly try and make them go to the end. But after 1 or 2 racing laps, those tyres will be screaming at him to go back into the pit lane. Rendog, our current championship leader, is in 6th position. The Ferrari's working well today. Meldrum is currently at the back in the Red Bull. So the entire grid in a giant Red Bull sandwich here. We've got I Have No Grip after his struggles on the first lap and then not changing the front wing in the pits. And it's not been a great race for I Have No Grip through no fault of his own. But he will learn from this and come back. With Jokies in 14th, Alfie 13th, BT is in 12th after what was quite the overcut, I must say. Dan Lovett somehow still in 11th. After all of this, he has not moved position once, I don't think. Dan Lovett still in 11th after 18 racing laps. We've got Quincy, who's in 10th. Kevin Baker with a lovely little under-the-radar race in 9th. Sab has made his way up to 8th. Mr. Jabe in 7th. And we'll look quickly at the penalties. So Noah has a 10-second penalty. Mikey with a 3-second penalty. Sab, Kevin and Alfie also with 3-second penalties. And then Meldrum with a 9-second penalty. As for positions gained, Mikey is the big gainer, up 5 positions. You've then got Noah, who is up as well, as we've got a little bit of a kerfuffle going on here. And Noah has actually overtaken Mikey under the safety car. And I don't see how that's allowed.
No, sometimes there is a glitch, but typically You can let them back through, but that does very much confuse me.
It does with me as well, as Mikey is now really falling off the back of the safety car train here. All sorts of kerfuffle going on as BT now comes back into the pit lane for soft compound tyres. So interesting strategy choices going on up and down this field, really. But what will be interesting is to see, A, how Mikey tries to take this restart after being overtaken on the safety car, and B, how BP Ace will try and put the pressure on in the first and second sector of this opening lap, because he knows if he wants to win, he's got to go for it, and he's got to go for it early. So he will need a great safety car restart, and he will then need to get on with it and try and make his move. Noah's just come in the chat and said that he could pass Mikey. So, bit of a weird glitch going on there, but I mean, you can't fault Noah for taking the position. I mean, if you're told you can take it, you might as well take it. It gains you up a position, especially in Noah's position with a 10-second penalty. He'll want to get on with this one as quickly as possible. BT now comes up to the back of the train, and safety car should be in this lap then, Lewis.
Yeah, very much looks that way. And this is all about the restart for Aspect. How can he approach this? How will he approach this? How will he want to approach this? You've got to try and get through if you are Ace relatively quickly. You don't want to allow him to pull away. But now he controls the pace, and this just feels so long when you are in second place. You're wanting to get on with it, and you see those tire temperatures drop down, those brake temperatures drop down, and you are just begging for the leader to get on with it. But it's his prerogative. As long as you don't speed up and then slow back down too aggressively, you don't do anything wrong. Of course, his final point where he can choose to go is the finish line. When will he choose to go? There isn't really a precise moment where you want to, but when does he put the foot down? He's done it now. He's gotten away well. He somewhat sticks with him, does Ace?
He is very close to him, but he isn't going to be able to go for that trademark dive bomb into the first overtaking zone, and he will have to try and get him down the hangar straight. Aspect will have the track position though. Who gets the better exit? It did look like it was BP Ace. So is it going to be close between the two drivers here? They are both draining the overtake button. BP isn't able to get close enough. Aspect, with a good safety car restart, manages to keep himself in the lead, but BP Ace will be going for it the whole time on this lap and is draining the battery again, is both of them, as they now head towards Copse Corner. They are absolutely giving it everything as they head through Copse now, and again the overtake is enabled. They are trying to get on with this very quickly. Aspect has about 10% more battery than the Ferrari, and struggling in the dirty air there is the Ferrari. He's fallen back a bit more. Aspect not using his battery for the first part of the straight. BP is going to drain it, but no chance for the Ferrari driver. And according to BP Ace's words, that must be race done for the lead.
It's never over till it's over, but it's certainly looking good for Aspect. As DRS will be enabled this lap, will it? It hasn't popped up for me.
It will, yes.
So he will have a chance. He is in that range, but he doesn't have much in the way of battery. Can he try and do anything to pressure him into a mistake or force his way through? For the sake of the race, you would hope so. Here we go then. Not gaining as he would like.
Doesn't look like he was close enough, and he wasn't. Not enough battery for the Ferrari driver, and Aspect is working well under the pressure. Alfie has come into the pits to retire from the session. Mikey is still stuck behind Noah here. Bo on the soft compound tyres hasn't moved from his safety car restart position of 5th. Dan Lovett has lost the position to Beatty, as Beatty is really putting those soft tyres to work. As towards Maggots and Beckett's we go again. Barely any battery for BP. A fair amount of battery for Aspec, as Mikey picks up another 3-second time penalty. As we now go to the Wellington Straight with the two leaders. Just not enough pace for BP. Aspec running a straighter, well, a more straight line-esque setup. And he is using it well in the corners. And in the straights, BP isn't able to attack.
No. As we say, every single lap, it looks a little bit better. And this is not unraveling for BP Ace, but he is running out of time and he has run out of battery. He's going for it, though. He can't quite make the move. He's going for it again.
Very, very
what?
close.
If he can pull this off, he can't. That would have been a sensational move.
But he's got himself closer. Aspec with more battery, though. Is there a gap into Brooklands for the Ferrari? There isn't, and that little jink might lose him a little bit of time there. But BP is sticking with him. But if he's going to go for it, he's got to go for some sort of unorthodox move because the straights aren't working for him. So he's got to try and think of another way to get past this Red Bull, because the Red Bull is absolutely flying and the prancing horse isn't quick enough to keep up with the wings.
He can't do it. He absolutely can't. He will still have DRS again. But as we say, the lap's just running down. He's getting closer towards Stowe, but not close enough for a move. As frustrating as this is, you can't just take a risk, because then you throw away 20 championship points.
Exactly that.
You have to just take what you can.
Currently sat in P2, and these would be good championship points for the man that I believe finds himself currently in 14th place in the Drivers' World Championship. And he is gaining once again on the Red Bull. Is he going to go for it? Down the inside, he switches to the inside, maybe trying to force Aspec into some sort of mistake, but nothing doing for him. Noah is all over the back of this battle if there is to be any late drama between them, but nothing doing for BP Ace at the minute. He is not gaining on the Red Bull as much as he would like. He is struggling in the dirty air. We know dirty air on this game is very, very difficult. And Bo, his soft tyres beginning to die down. He is falling off the back of Mikey and Noah, who are still on the back of this train. 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and you still couldn't call it. But Aspec, with great stock defence of his current lead, and it looks like he's got this one in the bag as Beatty moves himself up to 7th. Again, an overtake through Cops for Beatty.
That's very, very nice. Jabe manages to get close, but can't get the place back. He runs wide and loses now P9, P10. Or, sorry, P8, P9. 10th place, not what he would want. He will gain it back, you would expect. Here comes Rendog on BT. And this is just chaos up and down the field, but the type of chaos we like.
Exactly
this is
that.
Wow, BT going back for it again. I had moved on from that because I didn't think he would go for it, but that's an incredible
Sorry to interrupt you, Lewis. BP Ace is going for it again with the Red Bull. He looked again to the inside. Aspec now knows to expect that move and is braking a little bit later, but BP Ace is not giving this one up. As much as it doesn't look likely, he is still going for it with the leaders, and BT on those new soft tyres is still giving it everything. Kevin Baker with a little bit of a mistake there, but he has fallen off the back of Quincy. But BP Ace, look at the oversteer as he tries to get the power down on the exit of Luffield. It is oh so close between these drivers, and BP Ace, maybe desperation starting to creep in as he looks for a maiden victory in NRRL. He knows he's got to go for it in a weird and wacky place, as we see I Have No Grip, who is back round again, and a tough day going worse for the Alpine driver. But as we have 2 laps left of this Grand Prix, BP Ace needs a miracle.
Absolutely. He's going to need to find a way through. He doesn't have time to charge the battery with how slow it charges. He's going to have to force a mistake. That's his only way through. But it isn't looking ideal for him at the minute. Aspect just holding on, doing everything he needs to do. Full credit has to be given. And I get the feeling that they're going to be going for it once again here. He's a little bit closer, but is he close enough?
It's been so close to him for the entire race, but BP Ace not able to make a move. Noah and Mikey are on the back of this, and due to Noah's penalty, he will fall back. Same with Mikey. He will be losing positions due to those penalties. Quincy is doing well to gain away from BT, and Kevin Baker is coming back at the V-Carb man. Rendog is also in that fight, as is Sab Gaming, as is Mr. Jabe, as is Wiz Jokies. So from 7th down to 12th, they are all in a bit of a DRS train here. It is very, very close between this entire grid. Only man that's really in a bit of a league of his own is Quincy, who's 5.8 seconds off of Bo in 5th and is 4 seconds away from BT. So he's running a bit of a lonely race as we see BP Ace again with the DRS. Nothing doing for him as we're on the penultimate lap now, and we come through the Vale chicane to begin the final lap of what has been a brilliant British Grand Prix.
Absolutely. One final roll of the dice for BP Ace. So what can he do? He's got a little bit of battery, not really too much.
He's going for it. It's so close. Between the Ferrari, he's got number 2 on that Ferrari car. And number 2 is what he has been all day to Aspect. But Aspect has put up with the pressure absolutely brilliantly in the Red Bull. And a deserved winner if he is to cross the line first. Noah is now falling a bit off of this fight, and that will give Mikey some impotence to try and make the move on track on the Aston Martin driver. But BP Ace is now falling back and doesn't have the battery, and Aspect is just half a lap away from winning the British Grand Prix.
Very much so. A deserved victory. He has fought for it against one of the best we have. And he has very much earned it. He's very rarely made mistakes. And that is what has won him this race today.
Exactly that. BP Ace weaving down the hangar straight. He knows there's nothing else he can do. But for Aspect, it will be absolute delight. As behind them, you see Noah and Mikey make contact. But Aspect has had a beautiful race and wins an iconic British Grand Prix. Aspect wins here in Silverstone. It is Noah and Mikey that fight their way to the line. Mikey gets the position due to that penalty, but Bo comes home on the soft tyres to take the final podium position. Mikey will finish in 4th. It is Quincy who finishes 5th. Noah will take that 6th place. Rendog finishes in 7th. Mr. Jabe in 8th. CRBT, after an inspired fight from the back, in 9th position. Wiz Jokies in 10th. And Sab Gaming in 11th. But what a race we have just witnessed. And Aspect rising to the top with a seamless drive.
Fantastic drive from him. Very much deserved it. He did everything he had to do.
Exactly that. He was put under pressure for nearly the entire race, and he managed to cope with it. He takes the fastest lap as well, and there is your order. Aspect wins an incredible British Grand Prix from BP Ace in 2nd place. Bo brings home 3rd for the final podium position. Mikey Boy finishes in 4th with Quincy in 5th. Noah finishes 6th with Rendog 7th, Mr. J 8th, CRBT 9th, and Wiz Jokies in 10th. Sab Gaming 11th, Dan Lovett in 12th, I Have No Grip in 13th, Kevin Baker in 14th, Meldrum 15th, with Alfie in 16th. DNFing with Race Chase, Big Bruiser, and Paul Codd failing to reach the flag. Well, thank you very much to everyone for watching what was a brilliant British Grand Prix. We will be back tomorrow for our Thursday division Exactly the same as what you've seen today, besides the fact it was the Super League. If you are interested, please do drop a follow down below. Remember, Twitch is running a campaign called September, so if you are interested in subscribing to the channel, up to 30% off down below you can subscribe for. Thank you very much for your support. My name has been JP, alongside me has been Lewis. It has been a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for NRRL's Thursday Division. Take care.